Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of our show is Let's Live. And this is a series of programs in which we interview people and we deal with the subject of wellness and well-being and happiness throughout our area. And I have a wonderful guest this evening. Andrew, will you introduce yourself? Where do you work?
I work at Sunflower Natural Foods here in Woodstock in the produce department, running the show there.
And you have been on this show many times.
I have.
And I think you come about every 2 or 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
don't you? Mm-hmm. And you always come with these beautiful foods. And will you please tell me now, so that all of us will know, when do you work at Sunflower? When can we find you if we need advice?
My schedule's a little funny at the moment, but generally midday, 11 to 6, 5 or 6, I'm around and can be found. Sundays, I'm there in the morning. And, if I'm not there, anyone in the department is very helpful as well. But we love to chat with people about what they're eating and not eating and what's good and what we have in. And it's just one of the joys we get in our job. So come find us and talk about food. We really have a good time with it.
Andrew, how do you find all of these wonderful foods? How do you, as the person in the produce department, how do you go out? Do you just say to yourself, well, okay, this week I'm going to find this? Or do people come in with the foods? How does this process happen?
Certain things we just always have around because they're staples, bananas and apples and potatoes and those things you're going to have them and people want them. But other things, I'm on the phone all the time with our local farmers and they're saying, I have this and this is good right now and can I bring you some of this? And yes is always my answer to that. We take whatever we can get from them for sure. And I was farming back in Kansas, so I have a little awareness of what's out there, mid-July, what should I be looking for and asking people for and things like that. So it's kind of a combination of all of those things.
Well, now you just said something that's very interesting to me, and I knew it, but I didn't really think about it. A year-round fruit or year-round food is an apple.
Yeah, apples are such a kind of commodity crop now that they go into storage. There's big controlled atmosphere storage facilities in Washington State that are, acres upon acres of apples in boxes. And so they're year-round in that they're available year-round. They're maybe not at their peak in May and June before harvest comes in. But they're always there for sure. They've set up quite an infrastructure to keep those things kind of coming at all times.
So how many kinds of apples do you have to sell at the Sunflower usually?
Year-round we have at least 4, if not 5 varieties. We do a Granny Smith, a Gala, a Brayburn, a Fuji. Honeycrisp are really popular when they're in season. They have a pretty short season, which is coming up soon. So we tried a Pink Lady is a beautiful little apple, a really sweet apple. So yeah, 4 to 5 varieties we kind of try to stick to and have those in at all times.
If you have apples year-round, when is the apple season?
So apple season starts about a week ago, in terms of New York State at least. These are local McIntosh apples grown down in New Paltz by Pete Taliaferro. McIntoshes are really an early season apple. They come in, about mid to late August, and they're only around for a month or two. They don't store really well. They're a softer apple. So that starts kind of now, and we'll go through, they'll be harvesting probably right up through first freeze. And then those apples are good through December and January, and then we start to rely more on kind of the storage apples and that type of thing.
Well, now, is this apple a cooking apple?
I would go more for just an eating apple on these. You certainly could cook with them. They're a little softer, so if you did cook them, they would really get soft. I've never tried to sauce a McIntosh, but it might make a really nice sauce. A lot of people love these. They're kind of an older variety of apple, 30 plus years old, which is nothing like a there's 400-year-old apple varieties too. So I guess these are relatively new, but people like them and have fond kind of memories of them. Some people like them because they're softer and they don't pop your dentures out. That can be kind of nice sometimes. So they're a good little apple. You could certainly bake with them for sure.
Well, now let me ask you something. You say that you generally have about 4 or 5 different types of apples in your store. Is there ever a time of the year when you have like 7 or 8 different kinds of apples?
Definitely. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll do a big set right in the front of the store. We'll probably have at least 9 varieties going. Many of them hopefully will be local. Last year was a bust for local apples, organic apples, but this year is looking like a really nice crop. So we'll have Red Free and Macintosh and what else? Like a Ginger Gold and a Crispin and all kinds of these beautiful. Some of them, again, more sort of kind of heirloom varieties. So yeah, we'll have 9, 10, 11 varieties even, which is really fun to be able to come and kind of pick an apple for the moment. You're not restricted to Granny Smith's, right? How boring is that? So it'll be fun here coming right up into the season.
And this is going to begin in September and it'll go through October, I would say, maybe even close into Thanksgiving time. We'll have a lot of these nice varieties coming in. So if you've got 9 or 10 different kinds of apples and you're going to keep them for the next 2 months, are you going to have the same 9 or 10 varieties of apples in October that you have in September? In other words, are the variety, the different types of apples, will they change? In other words, you may, if you come in, say, next week, and you select from 9 or 10 different apples, and then if you come in 3 or 4 weeks later and there's still 9 or 10 types of apples, but they may be different. We will get some kind of rotation through there. I wouldn't say we would have a full turnover of those varieties, but some. Definitely some. Again, apples have by variety, they have fairly narrow harvest windows and ripening windows. So you have your earlier seasons kind of come in and harvest, and then they start to dry up, and then your mid-season are starting, and then your late season. So you do have sort of this nice progression that happens. So that will kind of cause some turnover in our varieties. Well, now, if a person wants to eat, to sample all of the different apple varieties, and you're going to come in the store and buy an apple and eat it, mm-hmm. How often do you have to come in the store and buy the apple in order to make sure that you get a different apple and you don't miss one? I like that. I would say every 2 to 3 weeks if you come in, you should be able to find kind of a new variety that you haven't seen 2 or 3 weeks ago. Wow. Yeah, it's a fun time of season, and you just gave me an idea. We should have some evening set up a tasting and cut up every variety we ever have and let people just try them all. Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah. That does sound like fun, especially as Halloween approaches. And we think about I always think about apples at Halloween, so that's an interesting thing. Well, and then of course now we've got these apples. And by the way, do you have a favorite apple for pies? Ooh, I like tart. I'm not a big sweet guy as far as most fruits. So I just called Granny Smith boring, but I think they do make a really nice. A nice pie. I like that bite that they have. Some people will make a pie out of a Honeycrisp or a Pink Lady that are super sweet, and then it's kind of just a candy pie. Which, if that's your thing, great. But Grannies are great for pie, I think. I like an apple pie where the slices of the apple have some crunch still when they're baked. Yeah. So I don't like them mushy. Mm-hmm. So that's a different thing. Now, these are all things that are in the store now. They're seasonal. Tell me about these garlics. So yeah, everything I brought on this table is grown locally. We don't have a strict definition for local, but within 60 miles for sure, and often closer than that.
But it's that time of season where I really wanted to highlight how much of that we're able to do. And of course, go to the farmers markets and meet your farmers and get these things. But if you can't make it, come buy sunflower and we can definitely be your farmers market for sure. So this is again a locally grown up in Richmondville by a guy named Lee Strasberg. He grows hardneck garlic, which is really hard to find actually. If you go to the grocery store anywhere, you're going to find a soft neck garlic. They store a little bit better, so big packing houses like them because they don't incur much loss from them. And but they have smaller clove size, which is a lot more work than these nice big, I don't know if you can see, but these are like quarter size cloves on here, which is great because you can peel one and you have enough for dinner. So they're beautiful. So he grows these. He brings them to us. He's done 6 varieties this year, which again, you'll never go to Price Chopper and find 6 varieties of garlic. You're going to find one soft neck artichoke variety garlic. So we have a German white and a German red and Romanian red and Russian red and Italian Lors and a variety called Music. And so all of this fun things, if you're a connoisseur, you can come in and we have little placards printed up that say, okay, this one has a really long lasting bite, and this one is sweeter, and this one is great for roasting and that kind of thing. So you can really come and custom pick your garlic for dinner or breakfast or dessert for that matter. Garlic's a great thing to have around. So we really love this garlic and we push it hard. And again, if you ever want to come in and try a bite raw, we're happy to slice you some up and let your tongue do the tasting.
For me, garlic is food. It's sold in the grocery store. But to me, garlic is much more than food. Mm-hmm. To me, garlic is healing. Mm-hmm. It's medicine. Mm-hmm. This is very, very important for human beings to maintain our health. So, have you ever explored any of the healing qualities of garlic?
I have. It's huge. I'm glad you brought that up. It's a potent healer, and people forget that because you can find it in the store. It'd be nice if they sold garlic at the pharmacy too, because it's that strong. Garlic has a compound in it called allicin, and that compound is only activated when so you have all of these little kind of pockets inside of the garlic, and you have to break those different pockets open, and then 2 chemicals come together to kind of produce allicin. So what you really want to do if you're going to eat garlic is crush it first, and that lets that allicin form in the clove, and that's really kind of the medicine in garlic. So smash it up and let it just sit there on your cutting board for a few minutes, and then you can chop it up and throw it in. Raw, of course, is probably stronger as far as healing properties than if you do cook it. I do both. I'm not a raw garlic purist by any means, but it's definitely the way to go. In the news, all kinds of things come out about garlic all the time, but they just did a study that said eating raw garlic, don't quote me on this, but roughly eating raw garlic once a day lowers your risk of lung cancer by 44%, that's different than 3%. That's a pretty substantial reduction. So, and all kinds of things. It's antiviral, it's a parasiticide, it kills parasites in your body, antibacterial. I'm sure there's been tumor cancer research done on garlic. So again, if there's one thing that you want to add to your garlic to your life to change your health, garlic's definitely up there. It's good stuff. Ear infections, garlic infused oil for ear infections. It goes on and on forever. For me, garlic is something that should be eaten every day. Mm-hmm. And I know that at one point in my life, I tried, instead of doing the garlic capsules. Mm-hmm. And I was really not happy with it. Mm-hmm. There's an I don't care what the box says. Yeah. And I don't have that experience with eating garlic. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I smell like garlic. I don't eat enough to have that kind of odor. So I think it's very, very important. I can remember that at a
one time in my life, I was fascinated with Europe at the end of World War II, and I was reading everything that I could read about the release of the prisoners of war and this kind of thing. And I remember reading a story about a group of prisoners who were released from a small prison camp, and they were starving to death, just like all the others. But the thing that separated them from the other ones that were released and found was that these people were not sick. These men were not sick. It was a group of men, and they had been living off of wild garlic that grew around their prison camp. And that was what separated them from the others who were so sick. Mm-hmm. So there is something to be said for garlic. And don't wait until you're sick.
Right. Yeah.
Learn to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And you can get beautiful garlics here that you cannot get in... Has anybody ever... Have you ever shopped for groceries in Indiana?
No, I'm not.
We are so fortunate here. Mm-hmm. There is such beautiful, abundant food here year-round. It's so glorious. Now, tell me about this. Is this something that you just open and drink?
Absolutely, if you like tomato juice, for sure. Again, this is a local product, and you don't see kind of processed, bottled, and jarred local things coming straight from the farm. This is from McEnroe Farm in Millerton. Ray McEnroe grows some gorgeous tomatoes that I'm sure you all have tried at the store. They're just beautiful. So he's also running this through the co-packer there in Kingston, and they're making a really nice tomato juice. My grandmother drank red beer often enough to call it, name one after her, and this would make a beautiful red beer, or a Bloody Mary, or make myself sound like a lush here, but it's just nice. And again, this is around year-round. A lot of this locally starts to dry up come Christmas time, and so to be able to have local tomato juice in February is quite a blessing.
So you can buy this in the grocery store a year-round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that means that it's processed in some way.
They're probably pasteurizing it, I would guess.
Okay.
So it's shelf stable. We just have it right on the shelf next to the, apple juice or whatever else it is.
Okay, so it would not be in the refrigerator case.
We do keep some in the cooler on our local shelf just to feature it.
So people can have cold tomato juice. But you can also find it on the shelves, mm-hmm. and you can take it home. It does not have to be refrigerated until it's opened.
Exactly.
And it looks to me like the container's small enough to where it's not going to stay in the refrigerator. It's going to get drunk.
Yes.
So this is a wonderful thing. And if it's been processed, we know that when you cook tomatoes, there's more nutrition than in raw tomatoes.
Interesting.
There is something that it starts with an L. I'm not thinking of it tonight, but it's important. Yes, mm-hmm. It's better in cooked.
Cool.
Yes,
Very cool.
Much better. And then now, where did these little jewels come from?
These were grown by Amy Hepworth across the river as well. Cherry tomatoes are cherry tomatoes, except for these sun golds here, which is a variety that's just a magical little tomato. They're the sweetest things, low acid, but they have a bite to them, and they're gorgeous. So I really have been telling people about these, and they're so much fun. She does these great little combo packs with kind of a yellow, not a pear, but a yellow variety, kind of some more of a grape tomato and some chocolate cherries, and they're just nice because they're so beautiful on a salad. Or
now, are you saying that these little tomatoes for example, this tomato came from a different plant than this tomato?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they have 10 different plants, and they pick them all in a bucket and shake them up and then bring them to us. So.
That's interesting, because somebody gave me a tomato plant this year, and the tomatoes that it's producing are different shapes and colors, mm-hmm. and hers are a different variety, so she's careful to have different plants. And now these are locally fresh. They're locally grown. How long are they going to be in the store? Do you know?
We'll have cherry tomatoes right through the first frost. Again, could be Halloween, maybe probably a little bit before then. But then they'll start to dry up after that.
So you can eat these like grapes.
Yeah.
And they're actually easier to eat than strawberries.
Yeah, no.
And
top.
they're just beautiful. So, and so you've got still about 6 or 8 more weeks that you can come in and enjoy these adorable little tomatoes, these luscious little fellas.
And this is a full pint. $2.99 is what we're getting for these right now, which is that's for a nice organic local tomato. That's I'm just going to say it. That's a good price. So come in and check them out and look.
You know what else this is? This is a good price. This is a beautiful product, and Woodstock is filled with people who, if they're going to come to your house, they want to bring you something. It doesn't cost much, and what a luscious gift.
Absolutely.
You go to somebody's house and you take them an apple or two, or you take them some of these tomatoes, and you have given them a wonderful gift. And something that will be enjoyed and treasured and will be gone by sundown. So you don't have to worry about somebody getting something that they're not going to enjoy and use. Now, I want to kind of skip around. I want to go to these carrots.
Sure.
Can we bring them out?
We can.
Tell me about these adorable carrots.
These adorable carrots are grown by the farm at Miller's Crossing, which is up in Claverack, I believe. So again, a wonderful local product. They're gorgeous. I hope you can see the color on them. They're this deep kind of Merlot, Malbec, let's call it, color. But then on the inside, I don't have my knife.
That's the way.
On the inside, there's still this, so they're purple ring with this beautiful deep orange color. And, again, to coin these up and throw them on a salad or in a stir fry, they'll lose a little bit of their purple if you cook them, but they'll still have some. They're exquisite. They're gorgeous, and their flavor, they're sweet like any orange carrot you get, but they just have this kind of extra complexity and dirtiness, which I like in my carrots. They grow underground after all.
But these carrots can be eaten raw, so they can go in a salad. They are beautiful, totally beautiful. And what about the greens? What about the carrot tops?
The greens,
aside from being gorgeous, what about them?
They're, to be honest, a little bit tricky to use. They're quite bitter. They may have some medicinal value. Wild carrot, I believe, is used medicinally. So, and this is just a domesticated version of wild carrot. But really, they're just beautiful. And you see people walking out of the store with their bag and the carrot tops coming out of the top, and it's, it's just a beautiful image.
Well, in addition, because these are such luscious greens, if you take them home and put them in a vase and get a couple of flowers out of your garden, or wildflowers that aren't even in your garden, and put them in with the carrot greens, I mean, this is really nice. This is actually, I think, more beautiful than if you go try to find a fern. Yeah. I just think these are gorgeous. Yeah. So you can eat the carrot bottoms, and you can take these home and put them in a flower arrangement. And are there other varieties of carrots at Sunflower besides just the regular orange carrots?
We, some of our local growers do some other, a rainbow bunch. Actually, carrots were more of a purple color, and originally, like a wild carrot is closer to a purple color, and they've kind of bred that out of them. So now we have all of these bright orange carrots. So this is actually closer to form to a true kind of Adam and Eve kind of carrot. So there are red carrots, white carrots, yellow carrots. There's a black carrot. There's all kinds of really nice varieties you can see.
Now, how long is this going to stay on in the store?
we'll have those for 2 or 3 more weeks. They like heat, so as it starts to cool down, they'll peter out a bit. But yeah, definitely a few more weeks.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that of the things that we have looked at so far, this has more of a sense of urgency. In other words, if you want to try a purple carrot, you better get in there and do it.
Yep.
You do not have until the end of October.
No.
So this is, you have until maybe mid-September.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really, you got 2 weeks.
Come get them. Get them
2 weeks. Now, these, look at this. Whoa. Tell me about these.
These are a couple of varieties of eggplant. Again, gorgeous. I really believe that food is nourishment, but it should also be beauty in our lives, and these are gorgeous. This is kind of an oriental style of eggplant. These are going to be in flavor and texture pretty identical to your kind of black beauty bell eggplant that you're used to seeing. But they're so much fun to have these different sizes. You can kind of fillet this long one and grill it. Like you have these nice little kind of eggplant steaks on the grill, which is just really a nice way to use them. This is called calliope, the variety, a beautiful kind of striated graffiti eggplant. And again, you can just do fun things with these shapes. You could cook this whole, you could roast this whole if you were going to do a what's the dip? What's the roast eggplant dip? Baba ganoush. You could just top this and douse it in oil and roast it whole, and then the skin will slough right off. So there's all these fun things. Eggplant, you want to before you prepare it, cut it up and soak it in some salt or salt water, which will pull some of the tannins out of it, the bitterness in eggplant. So that's definitely something I like to recommend. But they're fun. They're something different and they're beautiful. And again, you could put these on a wedding table for centerpieces. They're just beautiful.
What is your favorite recipe for eggplant?
Eggplant parmesan is pretty hard to beat. It's cheese and grease and it's quite delicious.
Yeah, everybody's favorite. It
true.
is. That's definitely true. It is hard to beat, and it's hard to compete with too.
Yes.
Now, what is this delightful orange food here? Tell me about this.
This is a really fun mushroom. It's commonly known as chicken of the woods. Or sulfur shelf mushroom. It's a polypore mushroom, so it doesn't have gills under it, which is kind of, if you find this in the wild, it's pretty evident because of its color. But there is another orange mushroom called a jack-o'-lantern mushroom, and it has gills like you'd see on a portobello. It's not edible, so stick to the pores. It's like I don't know, like styrofoam looking sort of. So it's called chicken of the woods because it is uncanny in its resemblance to chicken. Its texture, it has this meaty, chewy texture, and really its flavor even is similar to chicken. It's a really fun mushroom. You can slice this down in long slices and do like fajitas with it. Stir fry is beautiful. On pasta, it's so much fun because it's very unique. A lot of mushrooms get kind of slimy when you cook them, but this one really doesn't. It holds up really well, and it's so much fun. Again, it has a pretty short window. It's a fall mushroom, so from a couple of weeks ago, depending on rain and heat, maybe we'll get a couple more weeks. And these are just wild harvested. People are bringing these in off of the mountain, which is also really fun to have things that are coming from trees in the forest rather than fields of vegetables. So it's just a really fun mushroom that I would encourage you all to come in and check it out at the store.
When you get mushrooms, how do you get your mushrooms?
Our mushrooms, like our agaricus, like our white button mushrooms and little baby bellas, they come from Pennsylvania. They're grown indoors, pretty on a pretty industrial scale. They're grown in flats and compost and things like that. Shiitakes and portobellos as well. Shiitakes are probably grown on wood. And then wild harvested ones people bring in from around here. We get chanterelles, local chanterelles, and morels when they're in season, and black trumpets here and there. Chaga mushroom is a medicinal mushroom that we're getting locally. So it's fun. Mushrooms are really fun. They're kind of their own little life form, but we try to keep them around and keep them happy. They are good for us.
So what you're saying to me is that you can control the supply of the commercially grown mushrooms. Mm-hmm. They come from farms and they're carefully raised and they come in and they're perfect. And these little jewels, you have to wait for the universe. Mm-hmm. You have to wait for the conditions for them to grow. And then you have to wait for some very special human being mm-hmm. to decide that now is the moment to go and look for them. Mm-hmm. And then that person's got to come to your store.
Right.
So you've got all these things that have to kind of line up together.
That's true.
So you could go weeks or months without mushrooms.
Sure, yeah. The wild ones, yeah, will have dry spells where you just don't see them. And last year we didn't have too much chicken in the woods. This year it's been pretty plentiful. And you nailed it. It's if you're ever out in the woods and you come across something like this, the feeling you get is there's nothing like it. You feel like you've stepped into this kind of other world and this other story, and you're there at the right moment in the universe, and it's really fun. It's a great experience.
Well, are there a lot of people that come? I mean, do you know, for example, that you've got 5 people that will bring you mushrooms if they go find them, or 3 people, 15? Mm-hmm. What is the deal?
Yeah, we have a core little group of maybe 3 or 4 fellows who kind of have made this their passion, and it is something you get better at. The more you do it, you start to know where to look and on what species certain things grow, and you know, how much rain did you get last night. So there is a certain, you have to be a little bit savvy, but yeah, a few guys that come in and call and bring these in, and we're very thankful to them, because I unfortunately don't have time to go out and find these things on my own. So,
well, it isn't only the time.
No.
You've got to know where to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I could look for mushrooms the rest of my life and probably never find them. So you've got to know where to go, and you have to know when are the times right, you know? It's really, so this is a true jewel.
It is.
And a true gift. Mm-hmm. This is very special.
It is.
So this is a wonderful thing. And do they generally come in at this time of the year?
This is, yeah.
This is mushroom season?
For this specific, for chicken of the woods, absolutely. Morels are more of a spring mushroom. So mushrooms are a very fickle thing. They, you know, this will be on a tree stump one year, and you can go back to that exact same tree stump the exact same day next year, and there's nothing, you know, within a mile. So they really need to be in the right mood to flower, to bloom, and it's just, again, another fun thing about them. It's not like you have an apple tree and every year you get apples and you go to the apple tree. They demand a certain kind of independence, and it's fun.
Well, now, is it possible to make any kind of a living looking for mushrooms?
Sure. We were, for a short time, having mushrooms from Oregon flown in, overnight flown in, which is quite an endeavor, and we kind of, I don't like the carbon footprint of that very much, so we haven't been doing that really. But there are guys out there who they have these huge packs and baskets that they go out with, and they just, they harvest. And some, you know, morels you can get $20 a pound for at the tree. So if you can come home with 40 pounds of morels, you can certainly, you know, make a go. Around here, it's, I think, a little bit harder. Again, because they're so inconsistent, you just don't know. There are some guys around growing. You can grow on, cut down a maple tree and drill holes in the log and put mushroom spores in there, shiitake spores, and after a year you'll get some shiitakes sprouting up out of your log. So there are ways to sort of control and kind of domesticate these things. But again, it takes a little bit of the fun out of the hunt, the search.
Wow. Okay, so now here we come to America's favorite summer food. Let's talk about corn.
Mm-hmm. Corn's great.
Where did this corn come from?
This corn was grown in Hadley, Massachusetts, by a little farm up there, or not such a little farm, but it's not far away. And corn's great. There's a lot of concern about genetically modified organisms, GMO food right now, for good reason. It's absolutely a concern that we all need to pay attention to and in my opinion, fight against as hard as we can. But so people are really worried about GMO sweet corn. And as of right now, genetic engineering is focused much more on feed corn, field corn. So this is dry kernel corn that's going to feed cattle or to make ethanol or to make corn plastic, or all these kind of more industrial uses. Genetic engineering hasn't really entered the picture on sweet corn. So while I'm not saying you shouldn't be worried about it, it's less a concern here as it is on other things. I'll also just put in one more reminder that the National Organic Standards very clearly state that anything that's certified organic cannot be genetically engineered in any way. So another reason to come to Sunflower, we only sell organic produce because we believe strongly in it as the right thing to do. So, you can buy our produce really confidently knowing that it hasn't been engineered. So there's my soapbox. But like you said, Thurman, corn is just, it's the best. It's summertime. This is a bicolor, kind of yellow and white sweet corn. We get 48 count bags of this off the truck, 6 or 8 bags at a time, and we'll just sit there off the truck eating it raw. It's that sweet. You break them in half and you just kind of can't help but chew on it.
And it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's a beautiful object.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the nice things about this. And this came from Hadley.
Mm-hmm. And corn, it is a beautiful plant. It's been around for a long time. Teosinte is kind of the ancient corn that was, this big, and it was worthwhile enough to the human race to help it, kind of develop and thrive and turn into something like this. So it's a special plant, and again, today's varieties have been, you can go to there's some native seed search, heirloom seed preservation alliances that have some real heirloom native corns that are just incredible. The colors you wouldn't believe. They're mostly flint corns and dry flower corns and things, but it's as special as these mushrooms just because it has such a history and it's delicious. And grill this, boil it, do anything with it, eat it raw.
It's a beautiful product.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we go on to 3 gorgeous potatoes. Let's talk potatoes for a while. Where did these come from?
These, I can't say the farm with great certainty. They are local. We pull from about 8 or 12 kind of local farms. So these are a purple potato, almost black kind of in color. Again, I'm like a lousy produce person. I don't have my knife on me, but if you slice these open, they're this gorgeous kind of tie-dyed purple and white on the inside that's just really beautiful. You can slice these and scallop them, and you just have this kind of really psychedelic dish of potatoes on your table. They're really fun. Also, whenever you see this color, this purple color, this is generally created by anthocyanins, which is a strong antioxidant. So, we have this purple bell pepper. Even those eggplant will have some of that in there. So another reason, potatoes don't aren't known for their nutritional excellence, but the purple ones, at least you're fighting some free radicals with them, so that's a plus. But they're just fun. Again, food should be delicious and it should be beautiful, and to fry these up as breakfast potatoes is like a great Sunday morning.
Now, what about these gorgeous little yellow things?
These are a little patty pan. They're called squash. This is a sun gold variety. It's a summer squash, a soft squash as opposed to a hard winter like a butternut or an acorn. Again, you could top these and grill them whole, salt and pepper and oil. I'm big into simplicity. The less is more thing, I think, when you're cooking, especially with this fresh local stuff. So grill them whole, take a few minutes, but they'll soften up and just, they're beautiful. You can also slice these down and just saute them like you would a zucchini. They're really nice. They're a different a different kind of flavor. They're a little bit, not quite as sweet as zucchini is, but that can be nice. They're just a fun little squash, and again, something you don't see every day. Another centerpiece kind of food.
They're beautiful. Now, this I believe is a jalapeno.
I believe so.
Now, tell me about this one.
They send us these combo packs from Amy Hepworth, and there must be 15 varieties of hot peppers in there. And of course, they don't send me a sheet to say, here's what they all are. This to me, I can't say really what this is. It has kind of a jalapeno shape to it, a purple color.
It's hot.
Yeah.
There's no question it's hot.
It kind of looks like a padron pepper a little
right.
bit. But yeah, they definitely will have some heat. This is an Anaheim. It's not quite as sweet. It's kind of like an Italian sweet frying pepper. There's a little bit of heat in there, but these can be nice to, again, kind of slice in half and do real hot heat and kind of burn them almost. They're really nice.
Well, the thing about these peppers is that sometimes they're hard to identify because they keep changing their shapes and sizes so quickly. Every time a new plant comes around, you're going to have a different set of peppers. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a different flavor, a different size, a different color, and a different heat intensity, And this is a really nice pepper too, but I can see how a lot of people would mistake this for a banana pepper.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Or several other kinds of peppers, and they would be wrong. These are very flavorful.
You mentioned that the variation you can find, and people who are into peppers have study how it's like a wine grape. The soil and the pH and the volcanic ash that's blowing across the ocean all kind of affect the nuance and the hot and the it's interesting. People are into peppers for sure, so it's fun.
Well, yes, and they're very nice. And for one of the things that I have observed in this area is that not everybody knows about these peppers, and they know that there's a possibility that they might be hot, but they don't really know, and they will handle them. Mm-hmm. And my bit of advice, my shtick here is, if you see something like this and you don't know what it is, don't touch it. Because if you touch it and then you touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth, you could have some burning. And so, if you don't know what it is and you don't think you're going to buy it, don't pick it up. Mm-hmm. And if you think you might buy it, still don't pick it up until you can get somebody to let you know whether or not it's hot.
Yeah. Because
it does make a difference. And when you talk about cooking them to such a high temperature that the skin turns black, a lot of times the first thing you do with a pepper is you put a lot of temperature on it, you heat it, and then the top layer of the skin will peel back. Mm-hmm. And it creates an interesting aroma in the kitchen, but it's really a part of the cooking process. Mm-hmm. Well, we're running out of time, and always we spend too much time. I ask too many questions, then we don't get to. So can we go over these? Let's go over these.
Sure. These are a classic sweet bell pepper, like a red bell pepper. They just also again happen to be purple, which is beautiful. A lot of fun in a salad. You want to highlight these gorgeous things, and you don't want to put them in a casserole or a soup where you're just going to lose them. Make them kind of the centerpiece of your dish.
They're beautiful.
They are. Yeah.
Now, what is this?
This is broccoli. This came from McEnroe Farms as well over in Millerton. Broccoli is a tough one to grow organically. It has a lot of bug pressure. It's a heavy feeder. It requires a lot of nitrogen. And so we don't see a lot of local organic broccoli. They're doing most of our broccoli out in California and out that way. So it's always fun when we get in the local stuff. This is super fresh and just really beautiful. You have kind of all of these little florets and it's a beautiful vegetable. It's a favorite of mine. And local to boot.
Well, and this particular version of the broccoli is really interesting because the little florets are all together. Whereas a lot of times with broccoli, they kind of bush out on the side. And it's as if these little guys are saying, we don't want to be out there.
Yeah.
We want to be, together in our own little environment. We don't want to get, and which I think is interesting. These are beautiful. And look at the color. I mean, this is really nice. Yeah. That's a beautiful type of broccoli. So what else do we have here?
Let's jump to these just because they're super special as well. Fall raspberry season is in the fall, like right now. These are coming from Fabio Cisola down in Accord at Westwind Orchard. Please, if you like raspberries, try one. They're incredible. They're smaller, which is fun because they're, sometimes the smaller something is, the more flavor it kind of has concentrated. So they're just killer.
Totally.
Yeah.
The best that I have ever eaten.
They're unreal. They really are.
This guy grows these. He has a raspberry farm, and he goes out and picks these.
He and his help, they go out. They've brought us.
How do they get any to the market? Because the people, the temptation to eat them is incredible. I've never tasted anything like this.
Yeah. I asked one of the women who comes, and I said, "Is your tongue red after you're picking? Or are you just stained red?" She said, "Well, pretty much. Eat your fill." So anyway, they're fun. Come in and try some of these. They'll knock your socks off. And also a very short window. They're very fragile. So he's brought us 240 half pints in the last week, and we've blown through them. And in the next week or so, they'll probably won't be around too much longer. So.
Okay, so if you want this, you've got to go now.
Yep.
This is the weekend.
This is the time.
And there's going to be a lot of competition because there's a lot of shoppers.
Yes.
This weekend.
Labor Day.
It's Labor Day weekend.
Come fight over them.
Well, listen, we're running out of time, so can I thank you very, very much for coming. Let's remind everybody when you're at Sunflower.
9 to 5, 11 to 6. Monday through Friday. If I'm not in, leave your card and I'll hit you up for sure because I love to chat about this stuff. And again, anyone in the department is very helpful and they're all great guys. So.
And we'd like to have you back.
Sure.
Maybe in October you can come back.
Sure.
Because I know the produce is going to be totally different then.
It changes fast. Okay.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming. This has been most interesting.
You're welcome.
It's always fascinating, Andrew, when you come because you bring the most wonderful food and you talk about it and it's so interesting.
Say good night.
Good night.